Hello, and thank you for joining us for this edition of the Mayor's One-on-One. Joining me today is a very special guest, a man who just a year ago sat where I'm sitting now. I'm talking about none other than former Miami Gardens Mayor, who we now call Commissioner or Vice Chair, Oliver Gilbert. Thank you for joining us and welcome to the Mayor's One-on-One.
Thank you for having me. You know what? It feels like coming home. It feels like I'm home.
It is.
Yeah.
It does. It's been about a year since you've been in my seat and I was in your seat, and now you hold a seat in the county commission rather, and it has been an awesome year so far for both of us. So let me ask you just a quick question. What are some of your most memorable achievements from this year so far?
Well, I think for all of us, right? Making it and coming through COVID with some semblance of organization. Right. I mean, if you think back to a year ago, or even it's like last January when we first got into COVID, we didn't know what it was. We didn't know it was this flu, it was that flu. This is how you caught it. This is how you kept economies going. Just finding a way to actually come through as a county, work with our city partners, work with the community, keep people fed, keep people in their houses, keep water turned on, which seems like things that we don't, you would normally take for granted. But when you have people who aren't working, you have people who can't pay bills. And how you actually keep them off the street in a time when having them on the street would actually worsen the pandemic was a big achievement for us in the county. It was a big achievement for us together as all of government. I like to coin the phrase, I think Daniela actually said it first, it's a response of the whole. Because it took the county, it took the state, it took the city, it took the federal government all coming together to ensure that we could actually continue to move forward with some semblance of normalcy. And so, that's the big thing. There's been other things. There's been, paid sick leave for county employees, for county contractors, because we were forcing them to come to work or choose between their health and being able to pay their bills, and stuff like that isn't right. Finding a way to advance causes like that actually help people. And that's not to mention the budget we just passed, which I think was a good budget, considering all things, over the past year. For the first time, I think, in the history of the county and the city of Miami Gardens relationship, we gave you all a grant, $5 million towards building a performing arts center. The idea that people in Miami Gardens, people in North Dade should actually have convenient access to arts and performance spaces. And then that space could actually help generate economic development. You could partner with municipalities because we're serving the same people.
Right.
They're your residents, they're my residents, they're our residents, how we actually build facilities for them. Stuff like that's in the budget that I think are very helpful, because what we know is that when we come together, we pool our ideas, our resources, we can do extraordinary things for the community.
And you're absolutely right, because we as a group together, Miami-Dade really stood out as being a county and cities and municipalities working together for a very good cause to ensure that we continue to provide the services to our residents during the pandemic. So
yeah, and a great point about that is, the state of Florida used something like 20% or some really low amount of the money that they were given for rental assistance, keeping people in their house. Miami-Dade County, we used every cent. The cities, Miami Gardens included, we used every cent. And that's not just saying, hey, I'm bragging about spending money. That's bragging about the fact that we kept people in their homes.
That's right.
People who had lost their jobs, they're in their homes. They're safe from COVID, they're safe from homelessness, because we came together, we found a way to administratively work your processes, work our process, work with the city of Miami, work with the city of Hialeah. They had their own grants, but to make sure we actually maximized those resources and kept people in their houses. And so it's just a small way of example of things that we've been doing all year to actually keep us going.
I'm glad. Thank you so much for helping us out during the pandemic and passing a great budget and helping us with that Performing Arts Center. So we're looking forward to even bigger and better things in the near future. What are some of the things you still hope to accomplish in the district?
Well, the number one is going to be it's not just a district, it's everything, but the North Corridor. The North Corridor, we still work on it. Recently, one of the things that I did was actually talk to Washington about changing the formula, because we need to be able to consider the fact that this has been an underserved community that's been previously disaffected by mass transit. And so those are things that you have to be able to consider. We believe that finding a way to connect the downtown area, the port area, the airport area, our tourist centers, with not just Miami Gardens, but Broward County, is the future of this region. Look, if you stood on County Line Road and 27th Avenue, you could see something every morning. You could see how connected we are, because you could see people driving from Broward into Dade County and people driving from Dade into Broward County. The real question is whether government, whether elected leaders in both places will actually find ways to actualize what the residents show us every morning and every afternoon. We know that we socialize, we work, our kids go to school. We cross those lines all the time because the line isn't real for us. It's not a border for us. Well, it shouldn't be a border for transportation either. It needs to be regional transportation. And, we serve on the TPO together, and that's one thing that we work on all the time, because we understand that as you connect people and places, what you're doing is you're allowing them a greater and a better life. You're actually affecting their way of life. How much time do you spend in traffic? That time you spend in traffic, you're not spending with your family. You're not spending growing your business. You're not spending with your friends having fun. How you actually do these things, these are things that we can affect. And so I continue to work on that tirelessly, because I understand that while it's not the thing that people say, oh, yeah, it's not the sexy topic, it's the topic that ultimately is going to help you lower housing prices because you expand the area. It's going to help you create economic development. It's going to help you create jobs, and it's going to give you more free time. And so we can do all those things just by working on transit.
Are there any improvements countywide that you would like to see?
Oh, I would definitely. Listen, I can't talk enough about transit. It's transit, it's transit, it's transit. Listen, we know that people are going to move here. Mm-hmm. And I get that everyone says, hey, you know what, I want it to be like it was. It's not going to be like it was. If you're standing still, you're going backwards. Exactly. We know that people are going to move here. The question is, where will they live and how will they move around? Are we going to continue to rely on a fossil fuel-based economy and roads? We can't build more roads. We can't road our way out of this. That's not what's going to happen. Are we going to intrude on our natural habitats such that we're building farther out and placing people in their cars to go further distances? How are we going to address this as a community? We've talked about mass transit for a long time. What I'm trying to do, and what I'm talking about as the chair of the TPO, is let's actually do something about it. Let's do something about it, or let's shut up and stop lying.
Right.
So if we don't want to do the things that it's going to take to build rail, then let's just tell the residents that. What I won't do is be the chair of the TPO, the county commissioner for District 1, the vice chairman for the Board of County Commissioners, and tell you that you can have something and it can't be done.
Right.
So we're going to live in the world of not just the possible, but the probable and the likely, and we're going to work towards our goal, understanding that nothing happens overnight, but incremental progress is still progress. It is progress. And so how we actually get that done, we have to focus on transit, not just for the sake of building trains, but for the sake of housing people, for the sake of having reasonable economic development, for the sake of actually having a plan to develop a community that's just not hodgepodge. People decide to develop here and decide to develop there, and there's no real plan, so that just exacerbates our traffic problems.
You're absolutely right.
So we can do those things. We just have to be smarter and more deliberate about it.
So this year is almost over. Yeah. What could we look forward to in 2022 from Miami-Dade County?
Listen, I think that we have a good mayor, and we have a very thoughtful commission. And my expectation is that we're going to do a lot to actually address the lingering big questions. Things that we all know exist, things like transit, but things like also septic to sewer. Mm-hmm. We've kind of come to an inflection point. What will we do to be the preparers of the next Miami-Dade County? What will we do to be the preparers of this place for the people, our children, who are going to come after us? And that's not just going to be transit and housing and economic development. It's going to be the environment. We talk a lot about the planet and how beautiful a place this is. It's not self-sustaining. Mm-hmm. And we've done things that hurt it. We have to find a way to right that wrong. And we have to find a way to do it in a way that doesn't irrevocably break our economy, because we understand that people still have to work, but we also understand that protecting this planet, protecting our environment is the greatest existential threat to our way of life and our livelihoods. Look, people coming here, one out of every $7, $8 is tied to tourism. Mm-hmm. What happens if the beach goes away? I mean, we need to really ask those questions.
You're right.
And how that affects schools, and how it affects crimes, and how it affects unemployment.
Yeah, especially with all the erosion.
That's what. So these things are inextricably intertwined, and so we've been having one conversation every 2 or 3 years about one or two different things. We need to have one big conversation that covers everything. I fully expect us. Yes, I fully expect us to actually have that conversation. And my commitment is this: I tell people all the time, whether it's RTZ or septic sewer, I don't know how it's going to turn out. But what I will guarantee is that we're going to have these conversations. Because when I come back to this district and I tell them what we did and what we didn't do, I'm never going to say we didn't try.
Right.
I'm never going to say that.
Right. Well, let me take this opportunity to thank you for coming and being a part of the Mayor's One-on-One. You're always welcome here because this is your home and you're my friend. And I thank you again for sharing this wonderful information with us and our residents. And I continue to look forward to helping you to serve the people of Miami Gardens. So we appreciate everything.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for joining me, Mayor Rodney Harris, for this edition of the Mayor's One-on-One. As we begin to wrap up the year, I want to remind everyone to be careful, stay safe, and be good to each other. Happy Thanksgiving, and let's enjoy the holiday season. We want to leave you with information about upcoming events taking place in the city. The details are on your screen and can also be found in the City of Miami Gardens social media pages. Until next time, stay safe.